Okay, so I thought I'd just do, I've got to still trying to get the CBX job done and finished. I've done all the major repairs to the tail unit, and what I want to do now is basically prep the parts for paint. We're going to basically try to keep as much of the original paint as possible because it's pretty nice, just the clear coat's been scuffed in a few places. Obviously this one we have to paint at least this area here because we repaired it, and on the side panel we've got the this one is scuffed down to the plastic there, but the rest of the condition of these both parts is pretty nice. This is a really nice decal in nice condition. So what I thought I'd do is just do a little short video on the paint blend that I'm going to do on this and the final clear coat. So I'll just take you through that each step as we go. Yeah, so we'll start with just cleaning the parts, get them as clean as we possibly can, and then both parts are clear coated. I'm going to sand the clear coat back with 1000 grit wet and dry. I've got my foam sanding blocks, got 1000 grit paper ready to go. I've got some water with some simple green in there. So what we're going to do is sand back this clear as far back as I can, but I don't want to go through the clear into the base paint, obviously. Yeah, sand it back as far as I can. That'll get any major defects out of the clear. And then it'll also, with 1000 grit, give me a good key in the clear to be able to come in and do the paint blend with the black base coat. So yeah, I'll take you through each step as we progress. Okay, so yeah, first step, as I said, is just wet sanding the panel down with 1000 grit. I'm being very careful here. This panel has been repainted at some point in the past, so it's got a pretty thick layer of clear on there, so I can be reasonably aggressive with the sanding. If this was factory clear, it's very thin, so you've got to be very careful because we don't want to burn through the clear and go into the base coat. If we do that, then I've got to do more paint blending around, because when you're doing panel repair like this, where we're trying to keep as much of the original paint as possible, if I burn through this clear, say here, or on the edge here, which is the most easiest part to burn through, where you've got a bit of an edge. If I burn through the clear and expose the base paint underneath, if I just re-clear over that, you'll actually see the area I burnt through, because you'll have clear on clear, and then you'll have clear on base, and it's very easy to see the difference between the two, clear on clear versus clear on base. So what will happen is I'll clear over it and I'll have a hazy line in the paint here where it transitions from clear on clear to clear on base, and you don't want that. It'll be easy to see. So if I do burn through the paint, the clear, and go into the base, what I actually have to do is basically paint blend like I'll be doing here. So I'll have to take my air gun and paint the base color over so it overlaps with this clear. Then if I clear, you won't be able to see it. And that's just one of the tricks with doing these kind of repairs, where you're trying to keep as much of the original paint as possible. Okay, so yeah, I'm going through, I'm trying to get as many defects out as possible from this clear, because the more defects I can remove from this clear, the less touch-up I've got to do with the base color before I do the final clear. And the final clear will be, it's kind of like what we call a flow coat. Generally, if you're spraying clear onto clear, it's what we call a flow coat. And actually you get a really nice smooth lay down of the clear when you're doing that. So yeah, and you can see where I've wet sanded, I've got a nice matte finish, and I've got a nice key here for the clear flow coat that we'll do at the end. And you can see as well, I'm being very careful around the decal. This decal has been cleared over, so I can go over it with the wet and dry, but I'm being very careful because if I go too hard on the edges of this decal where it sits proud of the panel, I'm going to burn through the edge and it'll reveal the white backing layer, and then you've got to, that's a nightmare then, because you've got to try and do a touch up on this decal before you do the final flow coat. So you just don't need to go deep on sand deep onto the decal. There's no point. It doesn't gain, you don't gain anything. All I've done is roughly gone over it, lightly gone over it, just to scuff it up enough, the clear on the top, to have a good a good bond with the final flow coat. And yeah, and if there's any deep scratches, once you've done this, you can see how it's, the flattered off area. If there's any deep scratches, you'll see it quite easily in that surface. So that's it. I won't show you, I won't put you on real time just to see see me do the rest. So that's it. I'm not gonna, bore you with preparing the rest of the panel. I'll just put you on time lapse and I'll get both these done. And then I'll bring you back to show you which areas I'm going to paint blend or touch up. Okay, and just a few tips when you're wet sanding a panel like this and you're being very careful not to, again, burn through the clear. Don't sand on the edges here. So absolutely do not take the block like that and be tempted where this is shiny and on the radius here, try to do it with this flat block, because you'll just be a few seconds doing it and it's gonna, right on the edge, it's gonna burn straight through the clear. So same here, don't be tempted to try to get in with the block. You can see here, inside here, because you'll burn the edges here, with the block. And the same here. Don't try to get in here with the block, because you'll burn the edge around here and you'll just burn straight through the clear. And there's no need. We're just going to do those by hand. We're not looking in these areas here. It's not like you have to get a super flat finish like here. You just want to get as much of a key. You want to get a good key for the clear flow coat at the end. But this is all good inside here. We're not going to be doing any paint blending inside there, so it just needs the lightest of scuff. Same here, just a light scuff up to be able to take the new clear. And same here, I'll just go around by hand and I'll just go once over by hand. Even if you've got some shiny spots like this, it's not going to matter. It's you're still going to get a good adhesion of the clear, because the majority of the surface is well keyed. So I'll finish that by hand, yeah, and then we'll get this part done. Okay, so yeah, so I've just finished up doing all the wet sanding, 1000 grit wet sanding on the side panel, preparing it ready for the paint touch up. Now, as you can see here, actually the panel's in very good shape all around, other than just the area where we had the scuff marks, and you can see that quite clearly now. I've sanded it back just here and on the corner. So what we're going to do now is do the paint blend. So this is where we're going to lay down the base coat, the black base coat, and we're just going to spray this area here. That's all I need to do. And then once we have laid down the black base coat just in this area here to go over where it's gone through to the plastic, we'll then clear coat it over the top, and that'll blend. The base coat then will just blend into the rest of the panel. And that's why we call it paint blending. We don't have to paint the entire panel. All we got to do is address the area that was damaged. And this is a nice technique to be able to use, because a lot of parts, especially like this, where they're in nice condition, we want to try to keep them as original as possible. So this part has been repainted, I think, in the past, but still, no reason to remove all that, have to put a new decal on it, new base coat, then new decal, then re-clear it when the panel's in such good condition. So that's what we're going to do now. Because it's such a small area here, I'm going to do that with the airbrush. The beauty of doing this with the airbrush is I don't need to mask off the rest of the panel or the decal, because the overspray will be minimal. So let's get that done now. We'll get the base coat down, and then we'll show you that, and then once that's flashed off, it'll be ready for clear coat. Before we apply the black base coat, I'm just giving the part one more wipe down with panel prep, paint prep, just to make sure we got any contamination or greasy finger marks or anything off of it. We're going to let that dry. Got my air gun set up, and we'll get the black base coat laid down. Okay, so I just have my standard air gun set up, just running off a regulator from my main air supply. Just a quick test. Got nice coverage. And you can see you could mask off the decal just if you wanted to be certain not to get any overspray on it. But if you look, I'm actually spraying away from the decal. So all I'm going to do now is just gently blow in this base coat like that. Make sure I get a good covering. It was only that corner that was scraped. I like to do a fairly decent area just because I get a better blend with the rest of the panel, rather than if you just focus on one spot and put a thick layer, you get a build up of the paint, which you can sometimes see under the final clear coat. And if there is a color difference, slight color difference, it'll be more obvious because you've just got one little area, compared to the rest of the panel. Whereas by doing kind of blending it like this, which is why we call it paint blending, it's easier to hide this base coat paint. Yeah, and that's it. That's all it is. That's all it takes. I don't need to get crazy and go over the top with this. It's got good coverage, and I think that's it. You can see that's the base coat laid down. So we'll let that flash off, and then I can clear coat the panel. I'm applying the same methodology to the seat unit in the area of the repair, except I surface primer the exposed plastic before applying the black base coat. Okay, so the black base coat is flashed off. So I'm just going to go over one more time with the tack cloth, and then we'll get the first coat of clear on there. And for this application, I'm using the U-Pole UP2802 clear. Okay, and now for the second coat. And the tail unit also gets 2 coats of fresh clear. And once the clear coat has cured, I cut it back with 2000 grit wet and dry, then buff both parts to a mirror finish, starting with a heavy cut compound, then a medium cut, and finally a fine polish. And here are the finished parts ready to go back on the bike. If you enjoy these videos, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Bye for now.